Jeremy could be our stats guy too.
Yeah, I can look up stuff. I like doing that.
All right. Is everybody good? You good, Luke? Mike?
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome. This is the inaugural podcast. We're calling this one Hangin with Hoozy. We'll get into the name later, but
yeah, please do.
I got with me sports editor at the Daily Record, co-worker Mike Plant. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, Steve.
And I got Jeremy from Bird Eye. I always forget your last name, Jeremy.
Kane,
Jeremy
Kane.
Kane, that's
Yeah,
right.
like the wrestler.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, so we're here today, the inaugural podcast. We're coming to you Cinco de Mayo, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk some sports with our local expert, Mike Plant.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jeremy for a second. No expert, but
So let's start off. So we got Cavs, Game 3. They're going up to Toronto. 2-0 lead, second round. Mike, did you catch Cavs at all this postseason so far? What are your thoughts?
yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of games as we're working away. We've got a television, and so I work at night. Not like you get to go sit at your favorite bar and watch a game. So, yeah, I watched some of it. I hate to say that they look as good as they've looked in a while because they didn't have a very good second half of the season.
Okay.
But, so far Toronto looks seriously outmanned. I mean, Indiana gave them a good test, I think, in the first round. But
Yeah.
I think, the brilliance of number 23 kind of supersedes everything else.
Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate trump card. Let's not get too far ahead, though. So what are your thoughts for the series? You think they can go
It's over.
sweep the Raptors, just go up, take care of business tonight, and come back Sunday, finish her off?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I just read something. LeBron loves playing on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he's at 27, 28 series straight.
Yeah,
That's what
that
he's-
he's won at least one road game.
Yeah.
And I think the other night, Kyle Lowry, probably Toronto's best player, went down with an ankle injury.
He was still day-to-day last I checked, questionable for
Aren't we
tonight.
all? But, without him, especially the way his running mate's been playing, the other all-star, DeRozan, has been playing not real good. So
Yeah,
that
DeRozan
kind
was
of puts
not
him in a
showing.
tough spot.
All right, so this series is over, right?
Yes.
All right, let's.
So's the next one.
So's the next one. You don't
Yes.
care who we play.
Oh, well, you mean the Cavs?
Yeah, let me take a step back real quick. Last night, Boston got outplayed severely by the Wizards. That wasn't a game. Game 3 in Washington. Now it's 2-1 Boston. So you think it doesn't matter who the Cavs play.
It'll be Boston.
It'll be
Washington
Boston.
can't win it in Boston.
Okay, and that'll be interesting too because Boston would have home court. We'd
Yeah.
have home court over Wizards.
Well,
but
Cleveland, yeah, they gaffed it away at the end of the regular season, playing out the string, and
I have a theory on that.
okay.
My theory is LeBron went Gandalf mode, and he Jedi mind tricked everybody. I don't think he wanted to play Dwayne Wade in the first round, and I think there was a severe chance of Miami creeping into that 8th spot. I don't think he wanted anything to do with Miami.
Gandalf and who? Or Jedi? So you're mixing, is that the Lord of the Rings? And
I think that's just how good LeBron is. I think he goes to the next level.
I don't think they're afraid of anybody in the East.
Okay.
I wouldn't imagine, especially it seems to me that their second unit is playing better. I mean, Darren Williams is an all-star.
That unit
Guard.
from Game 3 in the Pacers game.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it seems to have carried over. He's probably the best point guard other than LeBron on the roster.
Okay.
Starting to play like he's in shape, and playoffs is a different thing than Game 70 of the regular season when guys are, they don't know what city they're in and things like that. So they get locked in a little bit better, I think, in the playoffs.
Okay. And so you're just advancing the Cavs right to the finals then?
Yeah.
The third
Oh,
year in a
yeah.
row.
Boston doesn't have the personnel. I mean, their best player's like my height. So
Okay.
that doesn't he's a great Isaiah Thomas, great player, but he's not going to carry a team over LeBron's team.
What How many games do you think they'll take in the Eastern Conference Finals, regardless of which? You think we'll go 6?
I think it'll probably go 6. I mean, Boston's scrappy, and, it's tough to play in Boston, as we've read this week. It's just tough for visiting teams to go in there and play. But
Yeah.
I think, again, LeBron relishes those kind of challenges. And, once you smell the finals,
Okay.
a veteran team. I go with a veteran team, too.
Okay. Before we get to the finals, let's flip to the other side of the docket. Have you been watching the Western Conference at all this season, or?
A little bit, enough
Okay.
to know that there's probably 3 or 4 teams that would be the best team in the East.
Okay. So we got what's tonight? Spurs Rockets game 3. What do you think happens there? First game in Houston. It's tied 1-1 right now. It's
Yeah.
been 2 blowouts.
I did watch. I have my back where I sit at work. My back's to the TV, and I kept hearing Houston. They got off to a great start, and I think they were up 25 in the first half in San Antonio. That was kind of shocking.
Yeah, they're like the back from the dead version of the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they're running the D'Antoni system, except you got James Harden in place of Steve Nash. That's a good team.
Yeah, they're obviously caught the Spurs a little bit off guard, and who knows with Tony Parker going out for the rest of the season and probably part of next season even. Maybe a career-ending injury.
Yeah, he's. It'd be sad to see if that happens. He's definitely out for the season, and that's a shame for them. Does that give Houston the advantage?
No, I think it evens it up a little bit more. I mean, if you look at San Antonio's roster, they've got, their 9th and 10th guys are capable of starting on most teams in the NBA. So, that first game, I didn't really watch the second game, but I know San Antonio bounced back. But, Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge, they've got a lot of talent on that team. In fact, without Tony Parker, that kind of throws it up in the air now. But I was thinking, San Antonio and Golden State in the Western Conference Finals would be that's must-see NBA TV.
Yeah, let's do this already. Let's get that Spurs-Warriors matchup we haven't had yet. And on the other side, I don't know if you caught last night's game, Jazz visiting Oracle Arena. Warriors, cream of the NBA, as much as that pains me to say.
Mhm.
Did they come out of that with a sweep, or do you think
Yes.
they drop a game? Okay.
No, it's 3-0, right? Or is it 2?
It's 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
When I think of tough places to play, Utah doesn't exactly jump to mind.
Yeah.
Utah's got a pretty good young team.
They're scrappy. I stayed up for that game last night, and they got blown out of that first quarter. They need to stop getting down double digits before they score their first bucket. But they didn't give up. They won the next 2 quarters. I think they won the fourth quarter as well. They only lost by 11 points and covered the spread. But,
the most important thing.
The most important thing, yeah. Yeah.
For those dumb enough to bet on basketball.
They're gonna be a tough out. Draymond came back, but he went down with a little
Didn't see
tickle in
it.
his knee.
That would be a heartbreaker.
Yeah, he's the heart of their team, obviously. So you think the trilogy happens?
Yes, I
Warriors,
don't think there's any question.
Okay.
Well, there's a slight question. You can't discount Popovich's team. And I look at Mike Brown coaching Golden State. I'm thinking, well, it means you or I could probably do the same thing. You talk about a guy who just rolls the balls out and lets his team play, but I think you could do that with Golden State. That's how talented they are.
It's a sad thing for Coach Kerr to have that back injury flare up again. But as soon as I saw Mike Brown was their coach, I said, good luck with that, Warriors. I remember the first time LeBron was in town. Didn't end so well. So we'll see how it happens. How do the Cavs stack up against the presumptive representative in
Not
the West?
well.
Not well. They're doing some things, though. It's 2 different teams from the last year, even the year before.
Well, things change year to year, but the basic main personnel is still the same. I just think Golden State added, one of the top 5 players in the league to their team from last year. So that makes a difference.
KD was clanking threes last night, though. he hasn't been able to get over the hump.
I'd take him. I mean, he will.
Okay.
That's. I've seen LeBron go through some stretches like that too. They all do, but Kevin Durant is a matchup nightmare for just about anybody. I don't know who Cleveland has that can guard him other than LeBron, and he can't guard everybody.
Yeah, I mean, so it'd have to be LeBron on KD. You got to have Shumpert and JR probably mixed in there a little bit. Maybe they're guarding Clay as well.
Right.
Maybe even throw a couple looks of them at Steph.
Yeah, somebody's got. They're tough to guard because somebody's got to guard Green too. He's tough for Kevin Love to guard because he's quicker.
That's a shame. I forgot about Draymond Green. Oh my gosh. So what? Cavs got a chance. Cavs don't have a chance. Is it go? What do you think?
They got LeBron. You've got a chance. And we saw last year the big moments. Kevin Love stepped up. Actually played some defense.
Yeah.
So and they won two games out west, which is very difficult to do. I just think that the incentive is there for the Warriors, and they just have a better team. I mean, Cleveland has LeBron, and then the next, I'd throw Kyrie in the mix there, but the next 4 or 5 best players are probably Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
All you can ask for is a shot at it, though, right?
That's all you need. Ask Kyrie about how that went.
Yeah.
I'm riding and dying with LeBron all day. I think they got the magic sauce to pull it off again. I think LeBron's got a good record head-to-head against Kevin Durant teams. I think if he's lost twice to him, that'd be a shame. Of course, when he was with the Heat, they beat the Thunder 4-1 in that series.
We're talking
I
a
don't
total
know.
different animal, though, with Golden State.
It
Maybe
is, it
one of
is.
the top 5 teams in the history of
is.
the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I don't like the Warriors personally, they play basketball the right way, and that pains me to say that. But
right way in today's game.
Yeah, they look so effortless, and that is kind of scary to watch. I just think Golden State could be exposed, I think, when they start putting in their reserves. I mean, you got Sean Livingston a year older. Andre Iguodala's a year older. He's been banged up a little bit this season. They don't have Bogut, who was a big
True.
reason that they went up 3-1
True.
on us last year.
David West is almost my age, so
JaVale McGee, surprisingly, might be the X factor.
he's a handful when he can make a shot from outside of 2 feet, but that doesn't happen very often. But if we're talking, or you kind of nitpick them when you're looking at second units, though. I mean, if you look at what these guys in a short series are going to be playing 40 minutes each one of them, so I don't think that's as much of a factor as it would be like in the regular season if you were looking to compare teams.
Yeah, it'll be must see TV, that's for sure. Can I get a bold prediction out of you?
A bold prediction for the finals?
For the finals, who wins?
I'd say it goes 7 again, but I'll have to go with Golden State.
Golden State.
They've got the home court advantage.
And here, I thought you were a Cleveland fan, Mike.
I am a Cleveland fan. You asked me for what my opinion, but I suffered through a lot of 15-win seasons rooting for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I just, as long as they have a shot at it, I mean, things happen, and like I said, Golden State's one of the best teams ever. So it's no shame in losing to them, but it'd be pretty cool to have another parade.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you'll go to this one. Did you go to the last one?
I did go to the last one. That's a funny story, maybe for another day.
Does it involve handguns or anything? Or
I was actually at Tower City about 20 minutes before those shots were fired. I don't know if people remember that. There was an incident. It was right after the parade was over. I think the celebration was over at the time. Everybody was off the podium, and 2 million people filing out of downtown Cleveland, and there were a couple shots fired outside Tower City, and I heard that by the time I got back home, and I was like, holy crap, I was just there. That was a couple of my buddies were texting me too. They were down there right when that happened.
crazy?
That was insane. Let's flip the script, Mike. I've been wanting to talk to you about this, the NFL draft. You're You're like the oldest Cleveland Browns fan.
I'm one.
Did you watch
I'm
Otto
old
Graham?
enough. No, but I'm old enough to remember when they were pretty good.
Okay.
So,
That's saying something. I don't even think YouTube has those clips.
well, you had a little brief stretch in the '80s when they were pretty good in the Bernie Kosar days, but
Okay, so let's rewind before the draft. What were your thoughts going in? Do you have any hopes? Were you hoping they pick any guys? What did that look like for you?
Well, I mean, when you're sitting there with the number one pick, and you look back at just, you hate to blame you put track records on these guys that are running the show now because it's only their second draft. I mean, I'm not going to blame Brady Quinn or Courtney Brown on Sashi Brown.
Right.
But so you're sitting there number one, and so many times like Khalil Mack's there, and they trade down and pick up whoever, Phil Taylor or Brady Quinn or somebody. I was just hoping, okay, now there's nobody picking ahead of you, so and in this draft, I don't know if you guys would agree, there was one guy that they were saying, okay, here's the best player.
Yeah.
It seemed like a consensus, right, Jeremy?
It seemed like hands down that was the right choice, and surprisingly, the Browns, I believe, made the right choice here with Myles Garrett. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. Okay, take the best player, regardless of his position, because we all know, unless he's like a guard or something, but the guards are never rated number one anyway, and there's no quarterback there worth taking at the number one pick. So take the consensus stud, and then see how it falls after that. Now, where things got interesting was later in the first round. I mean, they made the smart pick for once that I can remember. Then things got a little interesting later on when they traded down and actually had a really good draft and came out of it set up really good for next year. Plenty of ammunition to move up if they see a quarterback, which next year's quarterback draft is very good.
Yeah, it's a highly rated quarterback class next year. Were you looking for them to take a quarterback in this year's draft?
Yeah, only because I go by the theory, if you need one, take one. I didn't necessarily want them to burn a high pick on one because I don't think any of them are really, franchise makers on the surface. I mean, who knows, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, guys like that have come in later round picks, but you add one to the room and then you never know when you're going to catch that lightning in a bottle. And actually, looking at all those quarterbacks, if I had, and this was back before the college football season even started, I said Kaiser's the guy because he has that size.
Oh, could we, Jeremy? Can you find that? Did Mike Plant pick Deshaun Kaiser?
No, I have witnesses, but no, I mean, not that he's ever even going to play it down in the NFL, but I just look for the total package of size, arm strength, pretty good athlete. Has played against some big-time competition. Didn't play that well last year, but his coach is a lunatic, so I don't really discount that or count that against him. So
you were pleased with Deshaun Kaiser at 52?
At 52, yeah.
Okay.
At 12, no.
Okay.
Unless you're sure, you got to defer to Hugh Jackson. If he's going to pound the table and say that's my guy, then. But you hear that was his guy all along, and they didn't panic for once and force it up into a higher pick.
Right. What do you think, Jeremy? Were you
Yeah,
fine
I
with
think
Kaiser?
I had heard rumors that they were going to try to trade their 12th pick up for something higher, trying to get a higher draft round pick there. And I think what they're trying to do is grab a quarterback, probably Mitch Trubisky or anything like that. But as he went second, I don't know if those negotiations failed or their plans failed. So I think that for this year, they're just going to work these guys out, Kessler and Kaiser and whoever else they have, and kind of see
I think
where
they still have Osweiler and Kevin Hogan.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're just going to work them out here in spring training and kind of see what happens. And kind of like last year, it's just like, well, we'll see who gets the starting position, and then if anyone stands out, they're going to go with them. But they're probably looking for next year's draft too with that good quarterback lineup. But something that impressed me with the Browns in the offseason was their upgrade to the O-line. I think their offensive line was terrible last year. That was like one of the worst spots. I mean, just look at the injuries that we had in the quarterback position.
Oh, yeah.
And so that excites me. Every year the Browns somehow seem to do it, get me all excited in the offseason and the draft, and I'm back ready for them to start again, even though, and then my hopes are crushed every year. But somehow they do it every year. I get excited again, so I'm excited. I'm not playoff excited. I don't think they can get there, but I think we're gonna go a little bit better than this last season. But there's not much more to improve on.
Yeah, I mean, so last year, for anybody who doesn't know out there listening, I mean, 1-15 last year, barely eked out that one win that they had. Probably should have won a couple games early
Missed
on
field
in the
goal
season. Yeah.
to
Definitely should have won a few
Yeah.
games.
So what is this year's draft? You know, so we got Myles Garrett, consensus #1 pick. We picked up Jabril Peppers. He was kind of a controversial player for some in the fan base. You know, we get Njoku, however you say his name.
I don't know either.
tight
David.
end. Just call him. Yeah, David the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we have a pretty good draft. What's a realistic expectation for this team this coming football season? I mean, we're looking at
Wins and losses?
wins and losses. I mean, we're probably not a 500 team yet. It's probably going to be a little bit of a learning year still.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's still the youngest team, I think, by far in the league. Did add, Jeremy said, a couple veterans on the offensive line, which will help. It's until you get a quarterback and give him some weapons, which Njoku supposedly is a really good pass-catching tight end. That'll help. But until you get that figured out, you can't start to think about the playoffs. Now, the NFL's a strange league. I mean, teams improve a lot, or, a couple bounces of the ball or a possession here or there. Last year, Cleveland definitely could have won. They were in 5 or 6 games right at the end.
Right.
So, you flip those around, all of a sudden you're 6-10, 7-9, and, you're only a game away from 500.
So what is the defense going to be the strength of our team this year then? Since that's where they invested.
It's where they're
some of their
invested
top
on
picks.
not only their top picks, but in a defensive coordinator who's known throughout the league for his aggressive. Greg Williams is aggressive, 4-3 attacking defense, which I always liked a 4-3 better anyway. Line up those two ends and send them at the quarterback. And that's why I think the kid they picked up, I think in the 3rd round from Charlotte, Olenjobi, or
Oh, yeah.
not sure how to say his name either, but I did practice that yesterday because knew I was going to reference him, but he's a big space eater at tackle, and get Shelton off the nose and maybe free him up a little bit. I think the defense has a chance to be pretty good. And, everybody picks on Joe Hayden and the defensive backs. The defensive backfield was not very good last year, but you're only as good as the pressure you put on the quarterback, and they didn't have a whole lot of that last year.
Were you worried about Myles Garrett at all coming into this draft? There was some talk of him maybe taking some plays off, or do you think
No.
he's instantly going to come in and he's going to start generating
I
some
would think.
pressure and lead to some plays?
Yeah, he's going to generate. If not from him, he's going to take up a double team and freeze other people up. So you put Jamie Collins on the same side as Garrett behind him. You got a lot of different things you can do. And I think Peppers, you throw him into the mix too as a strong safety. I think he's gonna be that rare kid who's going to be better in the pros than he was in college.
That's
And I don't say that just because he's from Michigan either, but he really didn't. They used him in a lot of different places that maybe weren't best suited for his personal skills, but what the team needed. So,
I mean, there's value in a guy like that too, who's going to do whatever it takes for the team. I mean, I think that's one of those soft skills gets overlooked a little bit.
well, they need a strong safety too.
Yeah. How do we stack up then? We got, of course, the murderers row, the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals in our division. I mean, those are playoff teams. I know they don't make the playoffs every year. They're tough teams, though. I mean, they're solid.
Right.
Do we have a chance to steal a couple wins from those guys, or we still have a ways to go?
Well, you always have a chance, especially at playing at home. I mean, we played the couple times I think the Browns have beaten Pittsburgh since they came back as an expansion team, have been at home. Cincinnati, I don't buy them. Marvin Lewis is, I think I don't want to say he's run his course there, but there comes a time when sometimes your players quit listening to you. You've been there long enough. That might be the case with Harbaugh in Baltimore too. I don't think that those teams are light years above Cleveland in talent. And Pittsburgh, if you take Big Ben and put him on the Browns and put Cody Kessler on the Steelers, I think you would see Cleveland in the playoffs and Pittsburgh probably at 4 wins.
Okay.
Quarterback makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, quarterback is the most important position probably in all of sports. I mean, can you quantify, Mike? I mean, you've been watching the Browns since Otto Graham. I mean, what's been our problem? Why haven't our quarterbacks worked out, especially since coming back?
Well, first of all, they haven't been very good talent-wise, but at quarterback, I mean, none of these quarterbacks have really done much anywhere else they've gone. To me, the NFL gave them a raw setup in the beginning when they brought the team back, but Carmen Policy is the one who set the tone and dug the first hole. A couple other guys dug it a little deeper. Butch Davis kind of panicked a little bit, but I think when you have your front office, it all starts there. I mean, who's the guy picking the players? Dwight Clark failed miserably. Tim Couch never really had a chance, but I mean, you look at who's been picking the players, Tom Heckert, miserably. I mean, just regime after regime, they've not gotten the front office right first.
Yeah, and it's always seemed to me that the previous front offices have tried to kind of hit that home run, and it's kind of come at the expense of the rest of our team, whereas I think this year kind of filled some other gaps. We addressed the quarterback position, didn't spend, it was a valuable pick at 52, but not a first-round talent. We didn't, give away 4 picks to get Trubisky and move up a slot.
I think it's a 3-year project, too.
Okay.
And this is year 2, just going into year 2. They've had 2 drafts, and next year they're going in with 5 of the top 62 or however many teams are, 31 teams, 30 teams. You get 5 picks in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So you're positioned to, I would say, and the last thing a Browns fan wants to hear is patience, but I think that's maybe the case, but we need to have a little bit more patience and let this group put their imprint on it and let Hugh do his thing, and I think the players like playing for him. They seem to.
Jeremy, what were your thoughts on the draft and this upcoming season? Do you think we got a chance this year?
Chance at the playoffs, I would say I don't think so, unfortunately. I think the worst case scenario, 4 wins. Best case scenario, I'm thinking 7 wins.
Okay.
But as Mike said, I've always felt like a 3-year process with Hugh and everything. I think we finally have the right coach in there. And it does, and with the Browns' pass and the quarterback position and everything like that, it does start at the front office, I believe, and it just hasn't been there. I think we finally have the right head coach to make some good decisions here, even though he necessarily doesn't have the say-all in the draft. He's got a lot of stock in it, but with Sashi making these decisions mainly, and I think this is a good moving forward year from last year, and I think next year it will really start showing about the choices made here. And so I was really happy with the draft. Jabril Peppers is everyone's kind of unsure about that, but it's so hard to leave the Michigan part out of it because for the last 4 years we've been trained to hate him, and it's easy to pick out everything wrong with him. He's had one interception and forever. So I think he's going to do well though in our backfield and kind of help out with that. Myles Garrett, obviously, we talked about, is a great pick. Njoku, or however you say it, it sounds like a solid pick. What I was mainly surprised about is the Browns cutting Gary Barnidge.
Oh yeah,
the day after. Yeah. So I was kind of surprised at that. He had last year he had an okay year last year. Like 500 yards receiving or something, averaging about 11 yards a catch. But I don't know, Mike. What do you think about them cutting him? I know he's 31 years old, but 2 years ago he had over 1,000 yards receiving. Is it 9 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns around there?
He was a Pro Bowler 2
years
ago.
And great guy. Like on Twitter, he's a super nice guy, amazing catcher. We all have the butt catch in the end zone and the other sideline catches that he's done. I was like, why cut him now? Why not wait to see actually what Njoku does, or why not? Depending on his contract, I don't know the specifics, but he might have had some trade stock in him too. But why cut him now? I guess. Depending on his contract.
Yeah, I just pulled up his stats real quick. 2 years ago, 79 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Production dipped a little bit last year for Barnidge. Only 77 catches, targeted a lot less, over 600 yards, only 2 touchdowns. I mean, he played all 16 games for us the last 2 years, which that doesn't happen a lot if you're a Cleveland Brown.
No, that only tells me that the younger guys on the roster, they must like. They had a draft pick last year from Harvard that had a hard time standing on a field in college, but they like his athleticism at Seth DeValve. So I don't think it's not a place where the Browns are like cash strapped where they got to cut him for financial reasons either. But, he is 31, and that's the kind of business it is. You see a little bit of diminishing production and factor in the money and who's behind him on the roster. Is he going to be keeping young kids off the field? And maybe they figure they did him a favor and give him plenty of time to latch on with another team.
Yeah, I would have thought you'd keep him on for another year, like Jeremy was saying.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, just try it out.
When you got a youngest team in the league last year. I mean, you need some veteran guys to show some of these young kids how to play.
You would think, but they, obviously they had their reasons. So.
Okay.
Huh.
You guys saw the schedule for the Browns come out yet? Taking a look yet?
I saw it, but I didn't really. I know they've got a game in London, and they play the Steelers in opening week, and that's all I know.
Yeah. Steelers first, then we got Ravens going to Baltimore for that one. Colts, Bengals, Jets, Texans, Titans, Vikings, all before the bye. I mean, it's what was our schedule ranked this year? It was one of the easier ones. Oh, you didn't do a promo in the Daily Record for that?
I think we ran all the schedules, but I didn't get into ranking them. But I'm more of a, hey, just take the game in front of you and see, do the best you can type of guy, and I'll rank a schedule.
Okay. Mike, I don't know if you threw. What are you thinking for the Browns next year? We're not a playoff team.
Wins?
Yeah. What do you think? 4 wins?
Well, I didn't hear the second half of their schedule, but.
Second half we got, coming out of the bye, we got Lions followed by Jaguars. That should be a win right there.
Where's that at?
That's at First Energy. Then we got Bengals, the Chargers of Los Angeles, Packers, Ravens, Bears, and at the Steelers.
Well, there's 4 or 5 wins in there for sure.
Okay.
Knock off the Steelers once and get to 6.
That's all you need to do, right? Just beat the Steelers once,
No, beat them twice and go 2-14, and I'd probably be a happy guy. But and the Bengals too. I'm not a big Bengals fan.
Okay. Who are you a fan of, besides the Browns? Anybody?
No, Cleveland.
Cleveland all the way.
You know, that's from younger years. I become more or less of a fan as I get older.
Okay.
More of just an observer, but
Yeah,
always be a Browns fan.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. You were at some of those famous games in the 80s, weren't you?
Red Right 88,
Yeah.
right in front of me.
What was that like?
83,000 people, silent. It was so quiet after he threw that interception that you could hear the Raiders players yelling and whooping and hollering because they had the game won.
Wow.
And people walked out of there, and I didn't hear one word said.
Wow.
Wow. Because
Because it was cold.
I mean,
It's frigid.
take us back. I mean, the Browns they were a pretty good team that year, right? They were
Yeah.
primed.
Yeah, that was in a Cardiac Kids era with
Okay.
Sipe and Mike Pruitt. And didn't have much of a defense, but that day was so cold that the kicker, it was like kicking a rock, apparently, and they couldn't even make an extra point. So that's why they tried to throw it there at the end instead of just kicking a field goal. And
How cold was it that day?
it was, I don't know, 50 to blow, and with the wind chill factor. I was on, though, which is now the Brown side. In the old stadium, that sideline was the visitor's sideline. So I was about the 20-yard line up underneath the overhang on the lower deck.
Okay.
So reasonably out of the elements, but it was frigid.
Okay. How'd you get those tickets? Were you a season ticket holder?
No, I can't remember how I got them, but I know that I snatched them up and thought, boy, I don't know if I'll ever get to see this again. And haven't really seen it much, but and you know, of course, that year the Raiders went on and won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But I don't think the Browns, they didn't match up very well. I think San Diego was the team that Oakland beat to get to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And Dan Fouts would have passed for 600 yards against Cleveland.
Okay. Were you at the drive? Were you at the fumble?
No, but I do have a little story about, I got married on Saturday and Sunday was the drive. So I tell people now that, boy, that was a lost weekend if I've ever had one. But so, yeah, I sat around with my new bride and watched the Browns and got my marriage off to a rousing start.
And we've had some other ones. Jeremy, were you at Bottlegate?
No, I wasn't there, but
Those are highlights now.
yeah,
Model.
I'll pull that up every once in a while on YouTube just to watch it because it's so insane.
Oh, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
The only famous one I was at was Brandon Whedon getting stuck under the flag. And they
Oh yeah,
unfurled it at the beginning. That was a good season opener right
Yeah.
there for you.
Yeah.
Where's the quarterback? Oh, he's in the flag somewhere.
that's good.
Mike, let's switch gears a little bit. How much of the tribe you been catching this year?
Again, back with my back to the TV, I hear them, and you know we try to get their stories in before deadline. So that's pretty much. I've watched a few games here and there. Enough, you know, baseball's that leisurely game that you can pick a game up and go do something for an hour, come back and watch a little bit more of it. So that's kind of what I've been kind of casual about it.
Okay. I mean, obviously it sucked losing Game 7 at home.
Yeah.
I mean, how many Game 7s the Tribe going to blow in the World Series? But, I mean, Chicago was the best team last year. I mean, you can't be too upset. If there's one team I'd rather have win the World Series than the Tribe, be the Cubs. I mean, that fan
Why?
base has suffered.
Why? I don't.
Well,
who cares?
I guess I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
I
you
still wanted
are.
to win. I mean, what's the outlook so far? I mean, do you think we're getting back there this year? Is this the Kansas City Royals model from a couple years
Well,
ago?
that's I'm hoping that you come close and then you take the next step. But baseball's such a strange game, and so you got to win so many games just to get in the playoffs, and then a couple times we saw the Indians get in the wild card, and then they lose right away, and you're done. So you busted for 162 games, lose one, you're out. Same with the series, and it's kind of the beauty of it. Where, say, if you're playing Boston 20 times, you might win 8, but all you have to do is win 4 in a 7-game series to beat them, like they did last year, and they beat in the finals for the American. Oh, Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto had probably better talent too, but it helped when they added Andrew Miller. That made a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, you just pulled it up right now. We're sitting atop the Central. We're tied with the White Sox. We got a 4-game series in Kansas City that kicks off tonight. Kansas City obviously struggling out of the gate. They're only 9-18 for the year. I mean, you'd like to get the sweep. Try to get back on track.
What if they get swept? Where does that put them? I mean, it puts them. They're still the division. They're lucky they're in one of the worst divisions in baseball. I know there's only 6 of them, but the Central Division is not a tough division.
Yeah.
At this year so far. I mean, Detroit's aging rapidly. Kansas City, I know they lost one of their best young pitchers. It tragically was killed in the off season, which
that's a shame.
put a dent in their rotation for sure.
Yeah.
So injuries seem to be hitting them too.
What do you think happens with Trevor Bauer? He's had some struggles recently.
I think they put up with his idiosyncrasies as long as he's performing on the mound. He's after what happened last year in the postseason, when you stick your finger in a whirling blade, and maybe cost your team a chance to win the World Series. I know his teammates probably weren't real happy with him, but who knows? He's one of the guys. I don't think, Kluber's got the back problem too, which, knowing from experience, that's nothing. They say mild discomfort. There's no such thing really. So
yeah, the back's always a tough one to overcome in any sport.
Starting pitching is not real deep. That's probably they've got a really good rotation when they're healthy, but you don't you take a big piece out of it like Kluber or Bauer, and then who do you put in there?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Can we talk about Francisco Lindor real quick?
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah, he's got to be an early MVP candidate so far, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's first week of May. A little early for that, but I never thought that I would see a player in Cleveland to rival Omar Vizquel for popularity.
Yeah,
this kid. It's the world's his.
It's something else, and I remember those teams with Omar. I was only in elementary school, but he never really scared me with the bat like Frankie seems to do.
No,
he can go yard any pitch.
He made himself. Actually, Omar made himself into a pretty good hitter. Good average hitter, could slap the ball anywhere he wanted and move a guy with a bunt. But yeah, Frankie hit one 465 feet last week.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a scrawny kid.
Yeah, he can't be. Was he 6 feet tall even? I mean.
No, he's not even close.
Huh. Mike, what do you got going on in Wayne County sports here? What's coming up on your docket?
Probably next week's one of the busiest weeks of the whole year for us, is we've got baseball and softball tournaments starting for high school teams.
Okay. Who's doing well in the area right now?
Baseball and softball. Hillsdale. Hillsdale's always good in softball. They went to state last year. They're looking to get back there. And baseball, they're currently leading the Wayne County Athletic League by a game. But here's the thing. Next week, Hillsdale is a game ahead of Chippewa, and they play twice next week.
Hillsdale and Chippewa do.
But they also have tournament games next week. So actually, in my Sunday column this week is going to be, I'm going to put something in there. I'm talking to Mike Wolf, the Hillsdale baseball coach tonight. What would you rather do? Do you pitch your best guy in the league game, or do you save him for the tournament? So that's some of the decisions that the coaches are going to have to make next week, some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm always flabbergasted at how you guys are able to work sports over there. I mean, you're trying to take kids and you're treating them like, I mean, local celebrities, for lack of a better word, right? I mean, and you're talking to coaches. I mean, how do you get any pushback from coaches on some of these questions? Are they pretty forthright with, with some of their strategies or tactics like that? I mean,
98% of the coaches are great to deal with.
okay.
Now, where we get into the problem where, if little Joey hits a home run, his mom has no problem with him, being in the headlines. But if little Joey makes an error, costs his team the game, and you include it in your story, which you have to, then, you might get a call from Mrs. Little Joey. And so we kind of, you learn how to do that over the years they are just kids.
Yeah.
But we try to make it important because, people, and we're fortunate here in Wayne County and Holmes County people really like high school sports.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
you guys dominate our paper with high school sports. It's
The fan bases can be a little bit crazy, but, that's great. It's better than having no interest at all in it.
yeah. And those games are coming up, this weekend you said?
Next week.
Next week.
Next
okay.
week, and we've got Highland, the defending Division III baseball state champion, defending its crown next week, and College of Worcester baseball team is 5th ranked in the country.
Okay. How's their outlook?
Not bad. I mean, you got the old crusty Tim Petterini leading them. You've got a chance because he'll have them whipped into shape. But they're 5th ranked. But baseball's a weird game. You can lose like they lost a doubleheader the other night to Otterbein.
Okay.
Shouldn't happen, but it really doesn't make an impact. So they've got the NCAC tournament is next weekend in Chillicothe.
Okay. Is Allegheny going to be there?
Allegheny might luck their way into it.
For anybody who doesn't know, I'm an Allegheny grad.
Yeah. What year did you graduate there?
2006.
2006, really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God, I thought you were older than that.
I feel old.
So about 2002, whenever you started there, is kind of when they started slipping downhill. I don't know if there's a correlation there.
I didn't play baseball. I played rugby.
Are we going to talk rugby now before we go?
You wouldn't be able to.
Cricket. No, it's cricket. There's
Yeah.
your game.
We'll get some cricket pretty soon here.
So anyway, we're busy. We've got a lot of track coming up too. So our little 2-person department will
Yeah.
plug away and do the best we can.
Yeah, and track's got to be a tough sport, right? I mean, all the different events. How does one person cover a whole track meet? From your experience.
It's not easy. I mean, there's times when I've looked at like the kids running the 3,200, which is the longest race, and I run twice as far as that during a track meet. You're running here, there, shot puts over there, 100 meters over here. So once you learn how to do it though, and kind of figure out, if you stand by the finish line.
You need to get a Segway or something to haul around those track
No,
meets.
actually now I can send somebody else there,
There you
which
go.
is what I do. It's a young person's sport to cover, that's for sure.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, so are you even thinking high school football yet?
No,
I know it's going to be
no,
time for that soon.
Steve, no, don't. Please don't. I've got the summer to enjoy before that.
Okay.
We've got the spring to get through, too. Got tonight to get through. And then we'll take tomorrow and then Sunday, Monday. And
It's just like the Cavs, right? Just take it one game at a
yes,
time.
like everybody should, one day at a time. But I do appreciate you having me on here as your inaugural podcast.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully this takes off.
Well, I
And,
know you got some big plans. Bring some actual people in here that want to talk about important things other than sports.
Yeah, I'll get some actual experts. Yeah, no, we're trying to keep it a good blend of sports and news and, focus on people in the community and highlight the things they're doing.
Well, good.
Like Jeremy over here.
Yep,
Jeremy, you got kids, right?
I do. I have 2 of them. Yeah,
How old are they?
they are 5 and 2.
Okay. Are they getting into sports at all yet? Or?
No.
Okay.
Just the 5-year-old's our daughter, so she's more into art type stuff right now,
Okay.
and our 2-year-old is just a boy in the trucks. So no sports yet, but we'll see what they do. I'm the type of guy that's just, hey, if you pick it up, great. If you don't want to do it, that's okay too. We'll just see what happens.
That's the way to do it.
You're
Yeah.
not going to force your love of the Cleveland Browns on them.
They might have to watch with me, and that's about it, maybe.
Hey, through experience, I've got my sons are both in their 20s now, and they're both huge Browns fans. It just
There you
kind
go.
of, they inherit it. It
It's
just
a-
kind of seeps into them.
It's a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, they curse me for it too, but every Sunday, they both live on the West Coast, and we're texting back and forth.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
You
It's
can't
pretty
get
cool.
away from it.
no, it's pretty cool. That's one thing we share. Cleveland. I passed along my love of Cleveland sports. It came from my dad to me, now to my sons.
Okay.
So,
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah, that's the power of sport right there.
right.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank the guys here at Bird Eye, at the Bird Eye Studios. Thank Jeremy, Luke.
Yeah, what a great place this is, huh?
Thank you as well.
Yeah, can't ask for a better setup here. And Mike, thanks for coming on.
Hey, anytime, Steve.
We'll touch base with you as the seasons progress.
Sure will.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
This is the Hangin for Hoozy podcast.